to the Olathe Spark Starters Podcast.
Welcome to Olathe Spark Starters, where it is our mission to inspire innovative ideas and empower educators to cannonball into personalized professional learning. On episode 8 of Olathe Spark Starters, we will focus on building our PLN and continuing our own professional growth.
So, how's your summer going, everybody? We had summer conference, and we have had a couple weeks to go to the pool and do a few fun things. Anybody have any goals that they've set for your year for next year? What are you guys reading?
I am reading The Wild Card, but you mentioned summer conference, and I had planned to go. I had picked out my sessions and everything. And you know, this time of year, like when you end it, you're kind of drained and stuff. Well, unfortunately, the weekend before finals, my grandma passed away.
Oh,
so
sorry.
It just totally took all the wind out of my sails. You know, I just wanted to be with my family, and so I didn't go to summer conference. So I am just kind of doing my own thing. I had wanted to go to some unconference and ed camp stuff, and I missed the deadline because I just was kind of in my own thing. So I have been reading The Wild Card by Hope and Wade King, and it is, my goal is student engagement. So this book is really good for the big three for student engagement. Tons of ideas and stuff, and I'm not through it. I'm not a huge reader, so it probably takes me longer than other people to get through a book because I literally read every single word of every single sentence, and sometimes a couple times until it kind of clicks in my brain. It talks a lot about being kids being dealt cards, and that's kind of what the whole book is about. Like, you get dealt a hand of cards every year, you get new classes, and how you can be the wild card for some kids who maybe get dealt a bad hand, and how you can take control and do that, and like what the Joker is and so forth. And so I am really into this. I'm looking for an accountability partner, so if there's somebody out there that wants to be my accountability partner, like it's mentioned in the book, I don't think we have to teach the same grade level or the same subject, but I think we can still do that for each other. So if you're interested, give me an email or
send in your resume.
Yes,
References, please. References, please.
So what is an accountability partner?
So accountability partner, from what because I'm not through it all the way, but they just kind of help you with that piece of upping your student engagement and setting the stage for your kids, so that your kids, when they come to your class every day, they're like, "Woo! What are we doing today, Mrs. Fishburne?" Like, they're all jazzed and stuff, and trying to keep that up.
I was going to say keep it up.
Keep it up.
That's
Yes.
my thing with, a lot of times I come off of summer and I've got these plans and I do really, really well for like 2 months, and then it slowly like deflates, right?
Yes.
And you kind of fall off and you're like, oh man, I was going to do.
Right. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the whole reason why I even told you about my grandma, because that's kind of personal and private. I don't usually share that kind of stuff, but I thought it might be helpful for some people who don't have the time because they have little kids and they can't get away after summer break to go to summer conference, or it's, you want to go to ISTE or something and you don't have the money, or you don't have the time and you can't travel. You can still do a lot of professional learning on your own and take that on yourself. So, and I think the best way to do that is find a book like The Wild Card, and I'm looking for somebody to be my accountability partner who maybe I haven't connected with yet, just to kind of have a new relationship piece in my professional kind of learning network. But this, what I think what you find is when you read a book, they lead to other things. So then I started looking at Caitlin Tucker's station rotations, and then she's got some new ideas that I'm going to do on the first day of school that I'm going to try. The Tara Martin thing, I never learned how to do book snaps, so I found her channel on YouTube. I learned how to do book snaps, so now I want to do that, put it in my station rotations, now all jazzed about. So I'm just kind of concentrating on that whole student engagement piece. So what are you guys working on?
Your focus piece there is important too, because 2 summers ago I had this whole list of books, and I consumed 50 books in one summer, but I didn't really slow down and think about what am I really doing. This summer I am reading some, but I'm actually working on my ISTE certification. And so we met 2 days in St. Louis, face-to-face, and kind of deep dived into all the ISTE standards, educator standards, and student standards. and kind of started working on some projects of lesson planning and what does that look like with the standards. What do the ISTE standards mean? And so now I have this lens, right? So everything I'm doing this summer now is going through the ISTE standards lens.
Yeah.
You have to create a portfolio, and so this summer I'm trying to kind of get some artifacts created, some lessons created, so going into the school year, I have those kind of planned, but I'm also thinking about math. You know, we have this new math curriculum. Phonics is a huge thing for me going to first grade from fourth grade. I really want to focus and make sure I do phonics right. And so I've been thinking about those things, but now through this ISTE standards lens, which is really interesting to have this different framework or a different way to look at things.
Right.
I
went to a camp at K-State last week that is funded by the Corn Commission, and so it is called Corn Camp. And at Corn Camp, what we are learning to do is we're learning to teach science through the inquiry method. But what's fun about that is that you can really teach any subject through an inquiry process. So it's really just teaching kids to be questioners and to be thinkers. And so it's funny you say that you're looking through it through that lens. I'm kind of looking at everything through the inquiry lens. So like I'm really looking to next year to really make, more inquiry in math and science and social studies and anywhere that I can really bring questioning and inquiry into my day. I really want to turn these kids into really thinkers more than just doers. I want them to really be thinking. And so the book that I am reading is called Inquiry Mindset by Trevor McKinsey, and you can find him on Twitter as well. But it's a good one as well. What are you up to, Josh?
A lot, way too much. So I'm one of those people who throws a lot of things out there and I just see what happens. And sometimes nothing happens, and sometimes it all kind of happens at once. So I've been working on a book proposal for a while, for about a year. And so now I'm sending it out to publishers, and so I've got a publisher who's looking at it. This is like that preliminary first step, and it's already been rejected by one publisher. So this is like, hey, let's try it again. But that's coming up this week, and then I get to present at ISTE, and I get to present at a TED Style Talk in a couple weeks at ISTE, which I'm really excited about, but I'm terrified of too, because all my presentations have been I've got a presentation put together, but it's not scripted. But a TED Talk is it's very, very scripted.
Yeah, you have to kind of know it by heart.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Like a speech from high school.
It is,
yeah.
and memorizing it, I'm not good at memorization, and so I'm terrified, but I'm also excited to try something different that I've never done before. So that's kind of pushing me to grow, but it's also why I have no idea what my focus is going to be in the fall. I have a lot of ideas, but right now I'm just trying to survive ISTE, and then once I get done with that, then I'll start thinking about which direction I want to focus next. But it just all kind of hits at once. So,
right.
And then for me, my lens is really kind of in that gamification lens, where I just finished my first year having my class fully gamified, and there are some things that really need to be reworked, different mechanics and all that kind of stuff. And so that's really been a lot of my focus, but I'm really kind of liking a lot of stuff that you guys are kind of talking about, inspiring me a little bit, looking at things like inquiry mindset. And Era, I think you're actually reading a book that I've been looking at, which is Drive by Daniel Pink.
Yes.
And that is a fantastic
oldie but a goodie.
It's
right?
an oldie but a goodie. If you are out there and you haven't read that book, I felt like it went really fast, and I feel like it gives so much to us as educators.
Yeah. I'm having to read it really slow, though, because it's so...
Well, it's like...
deep. It is
dense.
intense.
It's dense. Yeah.
I keep just, having to stop and think, and... I'm kind of one of those that just flies through books. I'm not used to having to slow down, and so it's a very different read for me.
It's almost a book where I have to read it a chapter at a time and then stop.
Reflect.
Yes.
And
I'm reading a novel at the same time.
I
decided.
Right.
Did you?
Audiobook helped me get through that one.
Okay. Maybe
now,
I should...
The Power of Habit is also really good.
The other thing that I think is really cool for us to really emphasize is that, this is a great time for us to start thinking these big thoughts and looking at these big, amazing ideas, because, when we're in the trenches and whatever, we just get sometimes into the business of stuff to where, it's that we have the plan, and what's that old saying, the no plan survives the battlefield, or things like that, because you're always adjusting, because we're adjusting for our students. We're adjusting who comes in to our classroom.
So how do you guys organize your thinking though, so that you don't get lost, right? Like, I have a lot of things in my brain that happen, and it might be like, oh, I'll be thinking about school, and then I think, oh, I need to do this or I need to do that. How do you guys organize yourselves so that you don't get lost in all your things you're doing?
For me, what I do is it's a free program. It's through Google. It's Google Keep, and
I use that too.
Do you?
Yes.
Yes, and so it is a great. When I'm getting into that habit of whenever I have that idea, whenever there's a website I want to look at.
Do?
So it's basically in your Google Suite, and the image is a light bulb.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's very kind of Post-it note oriented, and you can kind of color code to different things. So like I really kind of got into the habit of whenever there was an idea or whatever, that it would just go right in that note, and I would sometimes color code it. Like for my game ideas, I've done the color yellow, and I've even kind of used it for a personal thing because that's how me and my wife do our groceries.
That's how me and my husband do.
Do you?
So you guys just add to the list and you can both see it?
Yes, and it's got a checkbox thing that you could do for different stuff, and so it's a easy way to keep that going for the digital version of keeping track of stuff.
That's really cool.
I've started doing a hyperdoc. So I've got a Google Doc divided up by quarters, and then at the very top I've got all these crazy ideas I want to implement, and then as I put them into figure out where I want them to go in the year, I put them in the document. But I also hyperlink it to if I've got an assignment that I want to go with that I've already created. Well, I put a link to it. So now, I started this last year, so now, this year, I'm just going to look at my Google Doc and see what are some things I want to take out, what are things I want to add to it, but because I've got the link there, I don't have to go through my Google Drive and figure out where that assignment went, what I did
folders
with this.
on
right.
folders on
right.
folders.
It's just got the link directly to the file. I wish I'd been doing this all along, so it would have been a lot easier.
Right.
So now that I've got it, I think each year, and I could take things out, add things to it. So that's.
I've been using OneNote. Do you guys use OneNote at all? I've been using OneNote, and I really love that. But I find that during the day, if I have to open my device, then I get into my device. I end up in Twitter, or I end up in, and I can spend hours in Twitter.
Have you ever put the app on your phone? Use just the OneNote app on your phone?
Or... Oh, but it's just one click away from
It
Twitter.
is. It's right there.
It's right next to the word.
And so I'm going to start looking at doing bullet journaling, and I think that's going to help me be able to keep my thoughts just in one spot. Because when you bullet journal, just basically you make goals for the month, goals for the week, and then each morning you make your goals, and then throughout the day, it's stream of consciousness. You write down actions that you need to do, events that are coming up, and things that you learn, and you just code them in a different way. And then at the end of the day, you go through each one of those, and you categorize them, and you maybe move things, or you maybe check things off. I don't know. I like the idea of having a book in my hand and finishing the book, and at the end, having felt like I'd done something. Maybe I'm old and still want a piece of paper in my hand. I mean? But
I am the exact same way.
I want a book in my hand. So I kind of like that part of it, and I like that it will be all facets of my life. But I've never started it before. But I would be looking for a group of people who are also bullet journaling, because when I went to this conference, the professor who's in charge, he meets with other professors, and they actually have once a month, they have a bullet journaling coffee, and they just talk about how things are going, and it's really ended up just being an accountability group for a lot of things, but it's just basically on, are you keeping with your goals in your life? Are you, that time that you're setting aside to do X, Y, Z, are you really getting to that? I heard a podcast this summer, and I don't know whose podcast it was, but they talked about the fact that when we roll over in the morning and we pick up our phones and we right away go to Twitter, or we right away go to our email, then that is setting the course of our day, rather than when you bullet journal, that's the first thing you do in the morning, and you set your tasks. So I'm going to put my phone and my iPad in the kitchen, and they're not going to even be in my bedroom, so I won't be able to touch them until after I've, made my goals for the day, rather than letting what's on my phone set my agenda for the day. I don't know. We'll see if it works. We'll see if I can actually keep them in the kitchen.
That reminds me of self-care. Just like one of the things I'm working on this summer is getting up every